Hello, welcome. This is Claudine and this is another IG video. Thank you so much for listening. Happy Sunday. So let me know what you think. Should you only work with successful business coaches who have built their own brand when you're growing and building your own brand? Should we only work with people who have been there and done that? I think you should, but I also think it depends. The advantages of working and gaining advice from successful business coaches are that they have been successful. So they have, the stories, they have the shortcuts. So you're effectively investing in their past mistakes to avoid making them yourself. They totally understand the context that you're working in. They understand how varied and complex actively running a business can be. And those successful business coaches can give you advice that others can't, such as they can give you real-world practical examples, they can share their contacts, they can share and help you to build your network, and like a good mentor, they can help you to avoid pitfalls. Again, there are tons of business owners as well who have taken a long winding road, and some people have taken more time to get to where they are than they should. And it's helpful for them if they can understand and appreciate why they've taken such a long time to get to where they want, but some don't, and sometimes they may also lead their clients on that long winding road. And I have examples of that in real life with coaches as well. So what's also important is, you can't necessarily always work with certain coaches that expect you just to copy and paste, especially if you're working in a different niche, a different context, you have different values and expectations for your business, because this is your business, your passion, and what you want, you want to gain as much as you can from your business. And also, it's very important to be mindful, as many of you who work in people development will understand, that some coaches are not actually coaches. They're really mentors. So, they call themselves coaches because that is a trending term. Mentor, for some reason, it's business mentor, it's still a good term, but people seem to like to use the word coaching because it's widely recognized. And mentoring is fine, because that's really helpful, and I've got business mentors and I gain tons from them. But even as a mentor, your role is to help that business owner or that person to realize their vision. You're guiding them and supporting them, and you're leveraging your experience, connections and know-how to help them to get there quicker. But it's always their baby, always what they're planning to do, what they're trying to focus on. Another thing to note is that not everyone is reflective. So some business owners are successful, but they can't teach other people what they've done. You see this sometimes with sports stars who, for instance, may have had a successful playing career, but can't translate that into coaching. Even myself, I have a personal example with my sister who is at the moment paying to work with a coach, or really a mentor, to help her to teach her how to do day trading. And he's very successful. He's got really flash cars. But one of the things that happens is that even though he's successful, he gets distracted in online sessions. Sometimes he can't articulate things well. He understands it himself, but he can't necessarily articulate it. And sometimes when the students have difficulty understanding what he's saying, then he blames the students. So that's also something to note. Sometimes people who are successful can't necessarily always translate what they've done, or they're not reflective to be able to share that with others. What's more, experienced coaches are not always very accessible. If they're charging by the hour, for instance, if they're making £500 each hour, then they are in their business, or they're making £1,000 or £10,000 an hour. Then working with individual clients doesn't necessarily always compute. So it doesn't actually add up. They have to charge those clients more because for individual session to make up what they're losing from working with that client. So they're not always accessible for one-to-one sessions. So that's why I find that a lot of successful business coaches, you know, they only work with their very high-end clients. And you know that because working with someone for a cheaper price, it doesn't really, they're losing out. You know, it's a very altruistic thing to do, but they're losing out. But it's also helpful to think about how much hand-holding you need. Because sometimes if you're in a business and you're practically doing what you need to do each day, a 1 hour session with a coach where it's a really fast action coaching session where you are basically just getting loads of tips, techniques and strategies, you're asking questions, might be actually enough. And you could do that every other month. So there are benefits to working with successful business coaches, but there are also pitfalls too, especially working with the very experienced ones. On the other hand, a novice coach may have very practical skills to help you facilitate you in your business. Traditionally, coaches who coach others are coaching people who have experience, so they're facilitating their thought process rather than teaching them. If you're a complete business novice and you're just launching, sometimes it's difficult for you to build, scale and develop your brand without some tutoring. And it's really important that you go on courses, etc. Because most businesses who run by novices who don't necessarily get any assistance and expertise, they actually fail it within 5 years. And you can actually Google that. So when you're working with a less experienced coach, they might understand the theory, but without practical experience, sometimes depending on what you're doing and how you want to build your business, that can be something that's missing. What's more, if you're working with an inexperienced business coach and they begin to mentor you, you might find it difficult if someone who is a coach is maybe motivating you, critiquing you, and they haven't got the experience, they haven't got the practical experience to understand what you're going through and some of the challenges that you're experiencing as a business owner. They may express their do's and don'ts based on perception, based on their research and what they've learned, rather than real world reality. So less experienced coaches may have never had the challenges, the concerns of building a business. If they have stories and how they overcome it, that's fine. But there are also, as you know, many pretenders who are launching pages and advising coaches. And I don't like to say that because that's a horrible term, but there are a lot of people who are starting off as business coaches, but it's better that it's facilitative rather than, and they are very honest about that and not necessarily from real world experience. But I hate being negative, but that's kind of what it is. Sometimes it's very difficult to facilitate someone if you haven't necessarily been there yourself, but it depends on what you're coaching them. If you're an experienced coach and you know what you're doing and it's just about mindset and motivation and you just need someone to kind of just give you, you know, a push, then the facilitative coaching is very good where they're just kind of motivating you. But if you want a business mentor to do coach mentoring, then it's really important that you actually get a coach mentor and you're very specific and you have that meeting, a chemistry meeting with your coach, and you understand what you are and you're not going to get from that coach, and so you choose the most appropriate coach for you. But, you know, even coaches can be effective if they don't, you know, if they haven't got the success stories, because, you know, it's about the practical skills and how they kind of motivate you, how they hold you accountable. And, you know, every single coach needs to begin from somewhere. So what's your opinion? Do you prefer experienced business coaches with real world experience or less experienced coaches with a great following, but they can actually maybe motivate you? It's a question that you have to answer. And you may wonder, after I've just produced this video, where do I think I sit in terms of, you know, in terms of what I would recommend? Because I've been quite balanced in my argument, and where do I believe I sit? And I do think it depends on your budget in terms of choosing a coach and where you are in your business life cycle. Personally, I would always choose an experienced coach that's connected and networked, someone that you can grow with, and also someone that's objective and reflective rather than someone that's brash and arrogant. So when you anyone that's a coach, you know that, say for instance, you may have a client with you who works for you for a couple of years, you know, you go on that journey with them, and then when you've taken them to where they need to go, they may get another coach. And even my coach that I have, you know, he said to me, you know, I can only take you this far, but then when I take you to this point, I'll recommend other coaches who you can work with, who can take your business to the next level. And that's kind of how it should always work. In terms of where do I sit, you know, I think that I'm in the middle. So I think that I've been successful in my business. I'm not a multi-millionaire, but I have consistently achieved six-figure years, and I run a few companies. I decided to launch this account on Instagram to support business owners to escape the famine and feast of working in our field. I generate leads, and I think that I'm building a great brand. I'm very proud of what I'm doing, and this business is going well. My most popular product is my one-to-one business consultancies. So for instance, with a business consultancy session, this is where but when you book your session, I go away and I analyze your account, your website, your social media, your presence online, and how you're marketing your products and services in your business. Then after that, we have a one-to-one consultancy session for 90 minutes where we review my findings on your business. I ask a number of clarifying questions, and we discuss recommendation. I share resources, and then we come up with a revised approach for your business. Then following the session, I will send you a follow-up report depending on what we discuss in the session. Ideally, well, I should say ideally, usually it's probably about a 10-page report where I discuss I detail what we discussed in our session. If I shared any resources, links, or products and services, then they're all linked in that report. So you have everything that you need. So it consolidates what I did in the initial analysis and the 90-minute session in that report. And that is my most popular product. You know, most people want advice as well as contacts, resources, and general guidance around what they can do differently, especially around growing their account. So I would say that I'm in the middle because I feel that I'm a successful business owner. I'm a certified professional coach mentor. I've been a professional coach for over 10 years. I'm a learning development consultant, so I understand how to help people to learn and take change performance, because my business is about performance change. And you know, I'm working on a day-to-day with a number of great brands. So do check out my credentials online, and you know, schedule a session if you want to work with me. So thank you so much for listening, and all the best. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.